All right, now we got to look at this defensive Dallas. We first start with defensive end Greg Ellis, a one-time Pro Bowler, a guy that played from 1998 to 2009. Very, just an overall fantastic defensive end, in my opinion. Playing 11 years in Dallas, 1 year in Oakland. He accumulated 84 career sacks. He had over 400 tackles. He had numerous amount of fumble recoveries, numerous amount of pass deflections, and forced fumbles. And he even had 4 interceptions, one of them being a touchdown. This is a guy that's going to be very much so a leader and a guy that can and will get multiple sacks, I believe. 2007 NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Overall, Greg Ellis is going to be, well, he's going to be something special to this defensive line. And this D-line is actually going to look pretty good. It's going to be pretty nice, as you will see later on. Right next to a pretty good defensive end in Greg Ellis is going to be defensive tackle Hall of Famer Randy White. This guy was a monster. This guy was very, very frightening. A 9-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, and he was a Super Bowl champion all of his years in Dallas. He recorded from the stat sheet 52 career sacks, even though I know he had more than that. He probably had about 120 around there, maybe 130, you never know. But this is a guy that played in 209 games. Guy was a part of the Dallas Cowboys from 75 to 1988. He won a ring in 77. A guy that was a monster in the playoffs and a monster out on the field. So I believe he's going to be just as advertised. He was in 1977's Super Bowl MVP. He also was pretty much a all 1980s team, and he was the 1975 NFL rookie team. So overall, you need some fantastic D-line. You need some fantastic defense. Having a defensive tackle as a Hall of Famer, and he's done it before. Him with Greg Ellis. I like it. All right, how about at the other side? It's going to be Hall of Fame defensive tackle Bob Lilley. So you got Randy White. Well, how about let's have Bob Lilley as well. This is a guy that played in the 60s and 70s for Dallas, all with Dallas. No recorded sacks, tackles, but we all know he had some amazing games. He's definitely one of the top 5 best defensive tackles of all time. He played in 196 games, started in 196 games, was fantastic for Dallas. In the playoffs, won a ring in 1971, and on top of that, was a part of the All-1960s team, All-1970s team. Just a guy that's going to get physical. 11-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, like I said, and a Super Bowl champion. It's what you need. You just need some great run stuffers, some fantastic defensive tackles, and having 2 Hall of Fame defensive tackles at this 4-3 defense, it's what you want, man. I really do think this line's going to be pretty scary. Now at that other end position, it's going to be Too Tall Jones, a guy that definitely gets overlooked a lot. A guy that played in the 70s and 80s, a guy that won a championship in 1977. Overall was a 3-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. Just a monster of a guy at that defensive tackle spot. Recording 57.5 sacks, but I know he had 100 plus. A guy that played in 224 games. It's another leader. Was a part of the all-1980s team. So, this D-line's going to look pretty scary. And I think it actually gets even better with how they got their other 3 linebackers at. So I think this front 7 is going to do some great things, as you will see who the other 3 linebackers I'm talking about. All right, and now the first outside guy out of the 3. First out of 3 linebackers, Chuck Holley. 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, won the Super Bowl with Dallas. He was a part of the Dallas team from 1961 to 1973. Started out his career in 1958-59 in Chicago, and just became a stud, tackling machine. Anything you can do, he's gonna do. He can definitely have interceptions for a linebacker. That's very key, very important. Definitely, they don't have many interceptions, but the fact that he had 25 career interceptions, that's a ball hawk. On top of that, can get that for touchdowns, can recover fumbles, can force fumbles, and not recorded, but hundreds of sacks, hundreds of tackles. Sorry, won the Super Bowl. Definitely has experience with that. Was the 1970 NFL Super Bowl MVP, and was even on the second team All 1960s team. That's what you need. Kind of surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame, but I think he's going to do some wonders on this defense. So having Chuck Holley, it's a big deal for Dallas. Middle linebacker position, it's going to be Leroy Jordan, the 5-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro and Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys. Played them all in Dallas from 1963 to 1976. Played in 186 games. Able to have 32 career interceptions, 3 of them for touchdowns. Even had 2 fumbles and 18 fumble recoveries. Nothing of tackles or sacks, but we all know had tons of tackles, and I'm sure tons of sacks. Overall, a leader and what you need at the middle linebacker position. You know, he's been there before, he's done it before. So, you know, again, experience, Super Bowl winning players, right? And that's what you need. And I know that next to him, to close out the whole, the whole linebacking core, there's a guy that didn't quite win a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys, but can hold his own, very much so. And that's going to be outside linebacker DeMarcus Ware, who's a future Hall of Famer, for sure. He did win a Super Bowl, but that was with Denver, so I thought I would say that. But he played in Dallas for a while. He's definitely a Dallas vet. He definitely isn't quite that Denver Bronco-esque guy. He played there for, I believe, 2 years. So, you know, definitely it was a great signing when they got him, let me tell you. 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and, again, won the Super Bowl. This is a guy he's just been phenomenal. 9 years in Dallas, 3 years in Denver. And what has he done? Well, over 600 tackles, 138.5 career sacks, 8 fumble recoveries, 35 forced fumbles, 26 pass deflections, had 3 interceptions, one of them for touchdown, and just a leader and a sack artist at that. Part of the All-2000s team, second team, as some would say. This is a dangerous fellow, and I think having him, Chuck Holley, Leroy Jordan, this front seven is going to do some great things, and I can't imagine what's going to go through the players' heads of the other teams that have to face these guys. Now that secondary, we start out with corner Cornell Green, a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, big corner. So that's what you need, you know. Play the safety position too, which is pretty great. This is a guy that played 182 games, had 34 interceptions, 2 of them being touchdowns. A guy that's very valuable to his team. We all know he's going to do some great things out there as a part of the Dallas Cowboys. So honestly, yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty great to see Cornell Green, a guy that people don't really know much of, but he was very valuable to this franchise. Now it's time to take a look at the other corner on the other side, and that's Mel Renfro, a Hall of Fame corner, a 10-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, and a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was in Dallas all these years from 1964 to 1977, 52 career interceptions, 12 fumbles, 13 fumble recoveries. 3 of the 52 interceptions were touchdowns. 174 games that he played. A leader, a guy that's been there for many, many years, doing it at a high level. What more else can you get? I mean, having as much Hall of Famers as you can get on a defense or anything at all, obviously that's going to help. So having Mel Renfro out there, that's great. Next is that free safety spot, and that's going to belong to Cliff Harris. Cliff Harris was a 6-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro, as well as a 2-time Super Bowl champion, all with Dallas. Had a 10-year career there from 1970 to 79. A guy that played free safety, and he had 29 career interceptions, one of them being touchdowns, multiple fumbles, multiple fumble recoveries, played in 141 games. Exactly what you need. And just, you know, you need as many great guys as you can as a part of that all-1970s team. Definitely very underlooked. Unlike one of these guys that you will notice that actually helped a lot in this dynasty of the Dallas Cowboys. People know who Darren Woodson is in Dallas. Darren Woodson is fantastic. A 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, won 3 Super Bowls in that 90s of a decade of a team in Dallas. Guy that's had 23 picks. He's had about 900 tackles, 11 sacks. This is an intimidator. This is a guy that people don't know much about, but he was a hard hitter. He was a hard worker and exactly who you need on your team. A 1992 NFL rookie team, a guy that was a leader in that secondary with Dion when he went up there. just a guy that you really want. An infectious guy, hard worker, not well known, but I think Darren Woodson, hopefully one day, will be in Canton. I think he deserves that honor. He's just a phenomenal player. Now the kicker is going to be Dan Bailey, one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. 88.6 field goal percentage and 99.6 extra point percentage. How can you go wrong? A guy that almost hit 90% from field goal, like he barely missed. So yeah, that's the most easiest thing I could have put him on. You know, a Pro Bowler once, which he should have been more than that. 2011 NFL rookie team. Dan Bailey is the safest pick, the most logical pick ever, just because his field goal percentage he barely missed. Even though it was 186 field goal mates, you need a consistent guy. So he's going to be that. All right, now the punter is going to be Matt McBride, guy from Australia, played from 2004 to 2014, 8 years there in Dallas, a two-time Pro Bowler, the guy that punted over 25,000 yards, 600 times, 600 plus times, longest one was 75, got blocked 5 times in 10 years, and, well, the average was 45.2. So overall, just in my opinion, a quality punter, and I think he'll do some good things. So the returner gonna be Butch Johnson. Butch Johnson, a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys from 1976 to 1983, and then from 1984 to 1985 was in Denver. But a guy that's well, Super Bowl champion. He was a Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys in 1977, and a guy that's not bad at being a receiver. So extra receiver that they need, obviously, that's a good thing. No, a guy that had 146 punt returns for 1,313 punt return yards, and 79 kick returns for 1,832. So I think this guy's going to be a pretty good return man. Definitely, from what I see, he statistically was the one that made the most sense. So honestly, I think it will all work out. Alright, how about head coach? Head coach is going to be the very famous Tom Landry. Tom Landry, if you don't know, he's a legendary guy. The hat, everything, just his demeanor, very legendary. A guy that was a part of the Dallas Cowboys organization for years, and a big reason of their success, really. He's a Hall of Famer, well, two-time Super Bowl champion, a guy that started coaching in 1960 for the Cowboys and ended in 1988, 29 years there in Dallas, and he had 250 victories, a 60 win percentage of the regular season, as well as coaching 36 playoff games and being 20-16 for 55.6% there. He was able to be the NFC champions in 1970, then was the NFC champions and the Super Bowl champions in 1972, 1975 being the NFC champions again, then being the NFC and Super Bowl champions in 1977, and then 78 being the NFC champions. The ability of him leading this team to 5 Super Bowls, I mean, Jimmy Johnson was pretty good, but this guy is mostly the most well-known, and honestly, he's just the most recognized out of everyone in this franchise. It's the most logical one, and it's the one that makes the most sense. He's gonna help Dallas win a lot. So I do believe this team will do pretty good.